Welcome to the Speaking Podcast. You can find all our episodes on speakingpodcast.com. We're also on BitChute and YouTube as Speaking Podcast. I also have the Awakening Podcast, the Meditation Podcast, the Learn Polish Podcast, and the Crypto Podcast, and all can be found on roycollin.com. Today, my guest, I'm looking forward to this because I'm going to learn something. Please welcome Suzanne Glover. Did I say it right?
Thank you, Roy. Yes, it's Suzanne Glover, and you want me to introduce myself? Is that
Exactly, because so you might tell the audience who you are.
who is Suzanne? Suzanne is a peak performance mentor. That's my official title. And what I do is I work in the arena of video, speaking on video, because I've done it for since the mid '80s. I started out as an Actually, I started out as a model, turned actress, had to learn in front of the talk in front of the camera. And so now what I do is I've had all sorts of businesses and so forth about that. But now, since there's such a need, I'm helping people, professionals, continue their success in the video world by showing up on this thing and learn how to speak on it and learn how to speak on it. And I can give you some examples, but that's pretty much what I do. Two parts of that is how to scale your business using video because it can do a lot of the work for you and create life balance. And the other part is just overcoming camera anxiety and being able to communicate on it really, really, really well.
Yeah, excellent. So I always like to know my speaker's journey. I know you said you were a model, but I mean, that's kind of maybe not speaking, it's just being in the camera. What was your journey from youth?
I was a gazelle. I was 5'10" in 6th grade, So people said, hey, you should be a model. And at the time, I looked like Cheryl Tiegs, which I don't know if you remember her, but she was the top model back then. So I became a model, but that was short-lived because you quickly grow too old to be a model. And so there I was in my early 20s, and I had to shift over to being a TV actress so I could be on camera. And that's a lot of the same that's going on with people today. They have to shift from being off camera to being on camera. And I fought it at first. I didn't want to talk on camera. In fact, well, it was a blessing in disguise because when I started doing that, I learned that when you're in the TV world, you can get residuals for commercials. And I thought, oh, that's what I want. I want a national commercial. And I finally got it, but I had a long journey before that. But I thought, okay, so I got my first commercial on my own. It wasn't a national, but it was just something that I got on my own. It was a local cable thing. And I did what most people are doing today. I felt a lot of camera anxiety. I froze actually the first time. The action was I was by a stream. I had to kneel down, pick up water, turn to the camera and speak. And I just what happened. I didn't think it would be that hard, and I remember the director, he just kind of, and the crew looked around like, what did we hire? Well, that was the first moment of a lot of moments where I was in front of this camera for 35 years and ideas just dropped down from the sky. I said, let's go, next take. I had to do something. So next take, they were happy. That commercial went on to be award-winning, and my journey started. I had ups and downs. I got an agent, didn't get work, had to get a mentor. Once I got a mentor, then we worked synergistically together I'd go in an audition, I'd say, okay, this worked, this didn't work, and we would work together. And that's when I got my first national, and that was really cool. I got residuals for 3 years. I got a check in my mailbox every week for 3 years, and I got let's see, I got in the top percentage of Screen Actors Guild. I was elected to their executive council. I taught for them. They had an acting conservatory, Screen Actors Guild. And then I opened up my own school. And that was like, oh, I've made it. I can turn around and help other people succeed because now I've done it. But you know how it is when you have your own business, you start doing it all yourself and you can't scale it. So I was making money in the industry. Of course, my commercials were playing, but I didn't have any control over that. So I really needed to think, okay, how am I going to do this? So I went back online, did an online course, and started helping other people do this camera thing. And that's when I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. I finally have returned to my passion. And in particular, I do help everyone, but in particular, I'm drawn to people who are in midlife, like, and I'm talking 30 up, 35 and up. They start getting busy, they start getting tired, they start feeling like they have to take care of mom, they have to take care of the dog. And so I have a passion for midlife women, because when I got into my 40s, which was 20 years ago, when I got into my 40s, my success started leaving, and I got tired and I had to take care of mom for a couple of decades. And so I have a passion for helping women, men, midlife, talk on camera, overcome this, talking to this thing.
Brilliant, brilliant. And what's strange is like when I got out of this, overcome the fear of speaking. When I went on Clubhouse, it was like the panic came back and everything. And you probably assumed, because you were used to being in front of the camera as a model, that doing this was every medium you changed to. And the same with maybe doing live. If you're doing recording all the time and then you start doing live, the first few times panic kicks in. But it's just overcoming that fear.
Exactly. And I had that happen when I did my business, because when I was doing video for other jobs, I didn't have to do the writing or the directing or the tech work. I just show up on camera. I just show up on the set. They took care of everything. And all I had to do was focus on being an actress. But when it came to my own business, wow, I had to be the writer, the producer, the director. I had to learn how to direct myself. And it wasn't, the pressure was there to, oh, this is my business. I have to do this really well now. So it was a whole different level that I had to come up to.
I think when you get staff as well, then you have to be the agony aunt as well, because you're kind of dealing with the personalities and the moods and everything. And if you want to get the best out of them, people don't realize that when you're trying to build a business.
Exactly. But I don't know. I've always dealt with people. I don't know. I come from this place of, you're always right, you're always good, and how can I help you? And I mean, that's not to edify myself. It's just, I realized that I've been married for 40 years. I basically married my high school sweetheart. We've been together 45 years, married 40. And so I come from this really innocent place of thinking people, they don't lie. They are really good people, because I'm just sort of been sheltered most of my life. So when people come to me and they maybe have a bad mood, I say, hey, oh, and I'm a hypnotherapist. So I say, oh, let's talk this out. What's up? And actually, when I was in my modeling school and I had the teenagers and I'd have privates, I wasn't mom. And I could get them to eat breakfast. I could get them, and I wasn't even trying. I could get them to do things because they trusted me, and they would tell me things like, I'm having this problem. It became more of a friendship mentor. I'm more of a mentor. I'm a person that really cares. And so if you have a mood, it's okay. It's all right. We have moods, ups and downs.
Just a part of life.
It's part of life. You got it.
And do you still do the hypnotherapy, or is that something that you were doing before?
I incorporate it. NLP, hypnotherapy, it's just part of a toolbox, because so in my online course, I move people through camera anxiety all the way through video marketing. And just some of the tools that I use during that process include sales techniques that I've learned, hypnotherapy, NLP. It's a synergistic approach where it's not just, okay, let's talk in front of the camera. Let's talk about mindset. Let's talk about how you can connect with these people. You got to use certain words, and there's a way to talk on camera, and there's a way to smile on camera. So I use a lot of different tools. If that's yeah.
Like I've seen your video, you're on your main website, and it's very nice because you have a lot of the outtakes as well, which I think is great. A lot of people don't do that, and it's kind of just showing the real you. You know, when post-its fall off or something like that, and it's showing your authenticity. You know, and people, I think people connect when you do that, because a lot of people, when they're doing the video, if they want to be an influencer, they're trying to be perfect. You know, they're trying to do 50 takes to get it perfect. And I think when people see a mistake, they connect better with you.
Absolutely. I actually, one of the first ads I did for my online course was one of those that the thing came off, right? It was the one where it said, and we're getting a little sneak preview, and that ad went well. I mean, it was like, phoom. And it's because, okay, so and I had to fight this, because in the TV world, take after take after take after take. And if you're not doing it perfectly, you're not getting jobs. And there's that expectation for the average bear, you know, to be perfect. But you're being asked to be a spokesperson overnight without years of training, without the proper training. When I got in the industry, there were gatekeepers. There were gatekeepers that you had to get through. I had to get an agent to start getting real work. And then once I got the mentor, she opened more doors for me. So I think, you know, I'll sum it up this way. You're old enough to remember the beginnings of TV. I mean, you're old, you're over 30 probably. So
48.
Okay, so and I'm in my 60s. And so back in the early days of TV, when I was in the group, in the industry, well, I'm sorry, when I started in the industry, it was a small group. We were all small, and you had to, for example, to get a demo reel, you had to take a tape to a production company and get it done. There wasn't any iMovie back then. And I have my first TV commercial here someplace. It's a huge, oh, no, it's a huge old big tape that I had to take as a beta thing. It's like this big. And I had to take it to, so anyway, my point here is this. I'm going to sum it up this way. Back then, small community, them seen on TV, and us who are not on TV. So it was seen on TV, them. It was an us versus them thing. So, oh, I'm not one of them on TV. Oh, I'm not one of them on TV. That's what most people, that stigma is still there. So we have this expectation of being perfect because, oh, we could never be on TV. And I think that stigma is still there today because we feel like we have to be perfect. And actually, I realized that when, oh, I think this was in the 90s, I had done a commercial was going to play on television before I got the tape. So I ran the TV all day long back then when I could know it was going to play. And sure enough, I saw commercials all day long filled with people I knew. And I thought, oh, I'm one of them on TV. And that's when it hit me. I thought, oh, yeah, there's this us and them. So now, today, one, you're being asked to be a spokesperson, and you've got this stigma in your head that, oh, I can't be seen on TV because I'm not one of them. And I have to say, I'd like to give some value here. And the value is, it's not your fault that you've got this pre-programming around video. So I can share more about that, but I want to let you talk too. I don't want to just hog.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, very interesting. And like when you were doing the TV and you had to do take after take, obviously that kind of sucks your energy. But what techniques can you have to kind of, you know, look as fresh and happy if it's take 10 or take, I don't know how many takes people tend to do. You know, is it 100 or 5 or 10? But you know, because obviously it's soul destroying. Going, oh no, something happened, and you have to go again. Like, what did you do to, you know, come across as if, hey, this is take one?
And see what you just did, hey, you know, that's what people do. They start talking like this. And I did that too. You find it's going to be what I call an emotional river inside of yourself. And when you get in front of the camera, now I have to be careful here because the practice thing, I don't believe in that, because here's why. Practice makes permanent. And when you practice something wrong, I'm a ballerina. So when I'm practicing something wrong, I'm practicing it to embed it in my body, and it's going to be wrong, and it's going to deflate my dancing. So I tell people, oh, you know what? When I started on camera, I started seeing a lot of ghosts. No, I mean, I don't mean real ghosts. I mean, oh, that was terrible. Oh, this, and you start beating yourself up. And I have to say that the first thing is to understand, like I said, it's not your fault that you're being pulled into this. But the second thing, when you ask, how can you take after take after take, you start getting into a rhythm. And it's different for a lot of people. You find your natural energy that's right for the camera. And once you find that really right energy, you start practicing that. And then you start embedding that. And that is when it starts coming up naturally, take after take after take. And I'll give you an example here. I was just at a mastermind recently, and it was all these guys, right? And I connect with men, but I also connect more with women. And there was one other woman there, and she was and it was a TV production mastermind. So we were doing recording while we were there. And she was a young gal, and she was having a bit of a struggle. People were telling her, you got to smile more, you got to get more energy. And I thought, oh, those are just not good ways to tell a person to be better. To just say, hey, smile, because then it comes like, and it comes like, and then more energy comes out like this, It's more about finding what's right for you. So what we did was, she did a take. They gave her critique. She was writing a commercial. They said, you know what, go back out in the hallway, work on it, come back in. Well, at the same time, I happened to go out to the restroom, and I said, hey, you want my coaching? You want to help me? You want me to help you? Oh, yeah. 3 minutes. I said, okay, this is how I want you to smile. Wait, no. Okay, like that. And this is, I want you to be, I felt like her energy, her river of energy, this sounds weird, but her river of energy, I felt that it was going to come out a certain way. So I said, this is who I want you to talk to, because everyone says talk to a friend. But we have different voices for people that we talk to. And I said, this is who I want you to talk to. And I drilled her. I held up a glass of water for her to look at, and just penetrate. And I drilled her for about 2 minutes. We went back inside, and she was locked in. It was locked in, and she did the take, and everyone just sat there like, that was startlingly different. And she pointed to me, and I pointed to her. And this is not about self-edification. This is about, I helped her find that river. And now she's going to be able to do that over and over and over. So that's the answer to your question. Once you find that river of emotion inside yourself and you connect with it, now she might have to find it a few times and find it again and find it again. But once it gets embedded, you can take after take after take after take. And yes, it's exhausting. When I would do shoots, they're exhausting, but they're so fun. They're so fun. And when I taught people how to audition for it, I say, you know what? This is one of the funnest things you can do in the whole wide world. When you're standing in the waiting, right outside the door, waiting to go into the audition, you think, you know what? I'm trying out for a TV commercial or a film or something, and I get to do this. And you come in and you light up. Well, I did. A lot of people, they check their personality at the door. And I had a casting director tell me that. He says, you know what, Suzanne, people check their personality at the door. They turn into these robots. They either do this or they do this. And I thought, that's because they haven't found that river that they have to, that river that's right for them. So that's how you do take after take, and that's it.
No, love it, brilliant. So a lot of people, whether it's for their business or they just want to get on camera. I mean, I've seen your videos, and you do it very professional. For those aspiring to build an audience, let's say, what tips can you give them?
Okay, tip. There's different kinds of influencers. You can be the big kind of influencer. I think first off, I think the first tip is expectations. Setting realistic expectations. Now, I know that that's just like, oh, hello, Suzanne, of course. But so many people don't do that. They go, I've got to do video after video after video, and I have to build a crowd of 1 million followers. And that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. So then it comes through to the camera, because this is going to sound weird, but the camera sees what you're thinking. If you're thinking, I've got to be good and I've got to present myself, and this is how people really start doing, they go, I've got a lot of pressure. I've got to be really good. I've got to do this every day. And that mindset, the camera sees what you're thinking. And I'm not talking positive thinking here. I'm talking about not having the expectation. Going back to my auditions, I say, okay, you know what? I don't give a rip if I get this job. That's when I could act. So first off, don't care. But okay, you got to care. But that's kind of an oxymoron. But as soon as I care too much, oh, bad, real bad. As soon as I said some 4-letter words, beep, I started being more authentic, because there's a mindset the camera picks up. Oh, she's nervous. Oh, she's got pressure. Oh, she's thinking this is real important. So if you're wanting to build that big million, I don't want to say $1 million, but that tribe that's 1 million followers, you're doing videos every day, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and it's just a lot of spinning your wheels. And I want to say, you know what? Take the pressure off of you first. Secondly, there are different kind of video influencers, and I talk about this in my book. 3 kinds of video influencers. One is the big, what do I call it? The starfluencer, where you are the internet star, right? You're big as life. You got 1 million tribe, right? 1 million people in your tribe. But most people, that's a big stretch. So the next influencer that I talk about is a techfluencer, which is the next level down, where you use video to scale your business, but you use it on automated process. So you've got a funnel, and a funnel is a series of web pages where you take a person on a journey, and you do it in such a way that you are building an audience, maybe, but you know what? It doesn't matter, because the object of it is to make money. So you aren't having a following of 1 million people. Maybe you have a small following, but you're selling something that's automated. So you have time freedom. You're still an influencer because you're influencing through camera. And that's the difference. Being able to influence and persuade through this thing is selling on video. It's selling. And I'll tell you, I have heard so many salespeople say, I could knock it out of the park in person, but I cannot talk to this thing. I cannot sell. And so it is a sales process to do this, and you can automate it. So that is, you're influencing, you're selling through video to a small group on an automated basis. So there is the big person who's the influencer, the million person, who's putting a lot of pressure on themselves. You can be the tech person who's saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to learn to persuade really well. I'm going to focus my energy. I'm going to persuade really well. So the tip here is, don't just do a whole bunch of videos. That's the tip here. The tip over there is, don't put pressure on yourself. If you're going to do 1 million videos, you got to be relaxed. That's the first thing. The second tip is, if you're a techfluencer, you really need to learn how to influence through this thing. And that's eye contact, that's body language, that's stuff like, the gal at the mastermind, I taught her how to smile on camera. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. It was, I worked. I said, okay, all right. That's it. That's it. You got to find, I worked on my smile for years until I got the right formula for doing it. So it's about learning to persuade. And by the way, a person who smiles is seen as more confident. That's a little tidbit trivia there. So I encourage people to smile. And I don't mean smile like this. I mean, find the right smile. But as a techfluencer, the tip here is really learn how to influence and connect through this thing so that you can get people to say yes to buying and following and whatever you want to do. So that's a tip there, is learn how to be influential. And then the other Zoom influencer, like we're doing right now, is where you want to connect and you are selling, but maybe it's a phone funnel. Maybe where you're doing is you're driving traffic to one warm-up funnel, and then you've got the Zoom meeting. And what you're doing is you're using uh, Zoom for the meeting, but you're using only one video just to warm up people. And it's what to say. So in that case, you could be making a lot of money because you might be a realtor and you could be getting leads and selling way more and making way more money than the star influencer who's doing all this work, all this work. So the tip here is, that tip is, if you're selling a high-end product, focus. Just focus on getting good on camera and knowing how to do a strategy for your marketing to keep it simple. So you've got simple marketing, you've got learning how to influence and sell, and then you've got the star influencer who just needs to relax and not stress out because they're not one of them on TV.
Excellent. Love it. And I think, like, especially, I mean, I've been in the podcasting world and I surround myself with a lot of podcasters. And I think it's the same with the video. A lot of people, they beat themselves up because they expect to go, they just release themselves. It's like a shop. You open the door, you expect everyone to come in and buy everything. And that's not reality. And, get the subscribers and you're like, you just expect a load of subscribers. And some people, it's like 2, 3, or the downloads. And I think you should celebrate. That's what I do, telling people, like, when you get to 10 a week and you can get to 11, you've got a 10% increase, and just start, tracking it, celebrating it, instead of aiming for the million. Because I see people, they're doing the million, but they're not really monetizing on it. They've got plenty of people and they think they're brilliant and they're bragging rights and I've got, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, TikTok, but it, sometimes it's like, I follow you, you follow me. I find Twitter's like that you're following people, but you're not really close. There's nothing, you could have I actually did a test at one stage, and I assume it's probably the same with a lot of the channels. I had 7,500 on Twitter, but I was following something like 4.5. And I said, I don't really know them. So I unfollowed everybody, and there's a lot of bots in this. So obviously some of them unfollowed. So now it was like 4.5. I guess it's a couple of thumbs up or hearts in Twitter, but it's not really great. Whereas you can have 200 people on a Facebook page and you have way more engagement. And I think it's pay attention and just interact as well, because a lot of times you can put up 100 videos, but unless you're responding, like say the Polish one, there's about 1 million views on it, but it's, as soon as someone comments, I always give a thumbs up or a comment back or everything, because you're just engaging, and then they become a fan for life. But I think some people, they're too obsessed with, let's drive on, get 1 million videos out there, and you've obviously experienced some of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that brings me to a thought that one of the things that I'm really, really, really passionate about is helping people be more strategic with video, because you've identified one of the biggest problems that people have is with video, they get caught up into this. I got to do video. 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 I'm not making any money, but I got to do video. I got to do video. For me, it's all about, okay, this is going to sound terrible, but it is all about making money. I'm a person that I used to have an anti-aging supplement that I produced, and I would advertise it in the newspaper. And there's this type of advertisement that calls people to come in right away. Now, in that industry, I met a ton of people. Do they have any social media? Are they making millions and millions? That's because they're focused. And that's what I really believe. And this is part of my movement that I'm starting is, you know what? You need to be really, really strategic with how you use video, because we're busy. One of the things people tell me is they don't have time for video, so they don't do it. I say, wait, you have the time for video because what it's going to do for your life is actually free you up when you do it right. And that's using it strategically. So not doing you've hit the stigma. I got to do all this. I got to do all this. I have to have 1 million followers. No, no. If you're a real estate agent and you need leads, one video and learn how to talk on Zoom, and you could be making $1 million. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's about focusing and being strategic with video. And I really am all over that. That's what I teach my clients. You got to be strategic.
I think, because I know which ones work for me for like Facebook, even though they're kind of censoring a lot of my stuff for some of the podcasts, but I know that by sharing it in the groups, like the Polish one, I'll share it in all the foreigners in Poland, all the groups that they listen. But some people, they're on 10 different things and they're doing the same thing the whole time. They're not tracking who's looking, engagement. And I look at everything because it's time. I can't get more time. So I have to go, am I wasting my time doing it here and there? So it's okay. Like I say, I don't get much interjection with the Twitter, but sometimes people are looking at the numbers and that's why I leave it up. I'd love to just walk away from it. Sometimes people say, oh, he's got 4.5. Their brain automatically thinks it's important. They don't do what I do. When I look at different people's groups on Twitter, I can see 15,000 or whatever. And then I flick through and I go, 0 engagement. They're not followers. That's just a bot, or they've done a swap. Same with Instagram as well. You can see it. You can say 3 likes and they've got X amount of followers. And that's not legitimate. And same with YouTube. You can buy YouTube likes. You can buy anything, but it does. What's the point? That's like saying I'm very popular, but you're not. They're bought likes. So you can do a promotion, say in the podcast, and then turn off the promotion. I mean, because you have to get the message out. And like I've done it a few times, I know which ones work, because sometimes I'll do it, and as soon as you turn it off, it just goes back to the way it was. That means it wasn't legit. But there's other times I've got a boost. I'm after increasing my audience by 10, 20%. And you have to watch everything like that as well.
Yeah, you bring up a point that I was just talking to my mentor, and I said, he was saying, hey, why don't you do some YouTube ads? And I thought, I don't even have a YouTube channel. And here's why, because as a Screen Actors Guild member for, I don't know, 20 plus, 30 plus years, I couldn't be doing this. I couldn't be on the video. It's kind of an oxymoron. So I couldn't produce all this content, which actually was a blessing to me. Now I've changed my status with them. I'm still in Screen Actors Guild, but now I can do this. But so I said to him, I said, I don't have a YouTube channel. He says, you know what? You don't need that. And I said, that brings me back to the supplement thing, that type of advertising where he said, you just do your ad, they click over to where you're going, and most people don't even look at your channel. And I thought, that's it. I feel like this whole social media, like I said, I have mentors that have just no following, none. When I've looked them up online, nothing. And I know they make just tons of money, tons. I had one guy, he was managing, I think it was $500 million of ads a month. That's what he was managing. And I mean, his percentage for that, wow. And you don't even know who the guy is. He's nowhere. So it's about, for me, I really encourage using video strategically and just don't even worry about social media sometimes. I mean, if you want to do that, sure, but you're right. It's all about engagement. And if you can engage through the video, that's how people are going to get to know you more.
And like you mentioned it earlier, all about the funnel, because if you've recorded and they're going through the funnel, as soon as you do lead generation, whatever way you use, because you can do it through that or, wherever they're finding you, but at least they're going through a system, and that way you're able to monetize it.
Absolutely. And you're doing it on autopilot. That's like, well, hello, why isn't more people doing this? Why aren't more people doing this? I don't know. They don't know how. They need strategy. And I tell you, 9 out of 10 businesses that I talk to, they don't have any kind of strategy for marketing. That's what I help them with. I really get into and say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. And then they start going, oh, and that worked. Neat. Great. Oh, why didn't I think of that?
And with these crazy times that we're in at the moment, like the shift onto just dealing with clients online, I mean, you've got the experience because I've seen all the different videos. So what tips could you give people that are just, say, doing the Zoom calls that they can present themselves better?
Okay, well, get off the couch. You know, you know how people are looking down at their camera and their camera is looking up at the ceiling? That's just, and they're in this dark thing. And now I know they're saying, well, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. It's not that hard. So I'm going to tell you right now, see how my head is up near the top 1/3 of the screen? Okay. I intentionally do that. And he's even see how it's cut off a little bit at the top? Now, some people might say, oh, she's got the top of her head's cut off. Well, that's a style in Hollywood. That is actually a film style. And what it does, when you did headshots, for example, in the industry, you always wanted your eyes up in the top third. This is a photography thing, but you always want your eyes up in the top third. Here's why. It's a power thing. If I'm down here, I mean, come on, you're talking to a head that's on the couch that has no respect, and I have just lost all of my power because you're looking down at me. Maybe you're not physically looking down at me, but you're looking down at me, all right?
Honestly, the fact that you showed the difference, there's a huge difference compared to so people that are listening on the audio, you need to watch the video of this as well to see the difference. It's incredible.
Yeah, because I'm down at the bottom now, right? Okay. And that's what, okay, so now, see, I'm up. How'd that feel to you?
It's a huge difference. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And I've seen that. I mean, I do live calls, as we mentioned before we started, and I see some people doing that, or they're looking up in this, like what I do, because some people, they look straight at the camera. What I do is I've squashed in the Zoom. So then I'm actually looking at you because I like to engage with the person and talk to them, but it kind of looks like I'm looking at the camera. I know it's a slight little angle, but that's what I do. I've had some guests on saying the guy has a picture of a head on his camera, so he's looking at the eyes on the thing. But it makes a big, I like your position. Yeah, definitely. It makes
It makes a big difference. And I also like, so you want to think in thirds, and in the industry, there are so many. I was in a film one time that I got to become friends with the director. And it was at the time that I had my modeling and acting studio. So she was very gracious. She walked me around my studio. And my studio at the time was 800 square feet. It wasn't very big. I mean, it had function, it could do ramp work, it could do all sorts of things. It had rooms, but the square footage wasn't very big. But the shape of it, she said, okay, there's an angle, there's an angle, there, see, and she started teaching me how to see the angles. And I thought, oh, it's in the industry, there's a way to angle the camera, not only up and down, but side to side and what's behind you as far as depth and stuff. So my tip that I always tell people is get your head off the couch, off the bottom of the screen, because that is a big deal just in power. That's a big deal. And you saw the difference just now.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah.
And you've actually done pretty well. I mean, you've got good light. Your eyes are about midway. Yeah, you're a little busy in the background, but you know what? That doesn't distract me because your lighting is so good on you and your color is good. Your face color, you're good.
I got the ring light, and I have another light that's there, and I have the green screen, even though that's a picture that I've took of my bookshelf, but sometimes the green screen doesn't work because I've a Velux window, and the light it works sometimes and it doesn't other times, and it starts flickering, so it can be a distraction. So sometimes I have to turn off, so hence why my hand will disappear. Whereas if I put on the green screen, that shouldn't happen. I'll just check it there now and change it over. And sometimes it's
play with it for a minute, because I was noticing that it was a virtual background, and those kind of bother me. I was thinking yours wasn't very bad because your headset isn't disappearing very much and you're not using your hands. So today's pretty good. Do you have other backgrounds that are
I use different backgrounds, and when I'm doing the live ones, we do that on StreamYard, so I had just the green background because for some reason the virtual backgrounds don't really work well with the StreamYard. So I've got actually a flag that I've put on the back now, and it looks good. Yeah.
How close are you to this thing? How close are you to the actual screen physical?
It's touching distance. I can reach back and touch it.
Oh yeah, you're too close. That's what it is. You're too close because you're getting that green halo. Is there any way you can push it back?
No, because there's the stairs there. Because I actually had
Oh, we
planned
don't want
to do it in a certain room, but I could hear the cars. So this was actually the best part of the house for the sound. I've got
Oh,
the
that's pretty good.
acoustics
I
room.
mean,
Yeah.
for what I've seen in virtual backgrounds, it's pretty good. Because I personally don't like green screen because it's very difficult, very difficult. I won't even attempt it because of the problems that it brings in. But yours is pretty. I mean, for having it right behind you like that, it's not bad.
Yeah, so sometimes it works a lot better when the lighting is correct and I'm able to turn it on. But yeah,
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It looked real to me. I kind of forgot it was virtual as I was getting into talking to you.
no. So what else have you covered in your book? Because I'm interested in your book. What other
Oh,
things?
the book.
Be a video influencer.
Be a video influencer. When it says reinvent your life and business as a midlife movie star, what do I cover in there? I cover pretty much I know. I cover my 7-part formula. That's what I put in there. So I have a formula that over 35 years. See, here's the problem. People are going and trying to do this thing by themselves, and they're going to YouTube and they're trying to do it a la carte, right? And I thought, oh, I need to just give them a formula, my formula. So what I figured out was overcome anxiety, how to really learn to connect, how to know what to say. This is my formula. How to deliver it. I teach some acting techniques in it for delivery, which people go, oh, I don't want to be Shakespeare. And it's no. It's like what I taught that gal at the mastermind. It's like I was teaching her. I actually taught her an entire acting method in like 2 minutes. And I didn't even know it was, I stumbled across that particular technique back in the 90s. Like I said, these thoughts come down, you're in this front of this camera, you want the job, and they're asking you to do something ridiculous. And you have to go, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go like this? Or am I going to come up with something? And I came up with something, and I did not know at the time that what I had done was the basis of an entire acting technique. I mean, like a whole school technique of acting. So I now have watered that down, or not watered it, but streamlined it and collapsed it into a formula that that's part of. And so I taught that gal how to do this particular acting technique in like 2 minutes. So when I say I teach acting, it's not a big deal. And then how to look good, how to set up tech so that you're not down here, but most importantly, all this stuff it's not going to get you anywhere unless you know how to market it. And that's where the real thing comes in, where you have to know the strategy. So I help people actually build up the funnels and market themselves so they're not wasting a lot of time and doing it right. So that's what I cover in my book. I cover my formula. I wasn't thinking about telling you what was in there. It's my formula and it works synergistically because you're building it's like a pyramid. So the foundation is the overcoming the anxiety, but not just that, also becoming more authentic, because you can become less nervous, but that's not necessarily bringing out your personality. And that river, the emotional river I was talking about, and tapping into that and getting used to that. And then when you start getting that, you start building on that and you start, oh, now what am I going to say? Oh, all right, we worked on that. How do you connect with your audience to start connecting with them with what you say and how you say it, and being influential and persuasive, but not salesy and not manipulative, but authentic. Knowing that selling is helping, for example. So many people say, oh, I don't want to do that. No, you're helping people. Every time I talk to a person, that wants my help and I have to decide if I'm going to help them or not, I say, okay, how do you feel about selling? Are you helping someone? Are you withholding? Are you resisting it? It's about helping. So I go through mindset the entire time, but it's building up. The first thing is camera anxiety. The next thing is what to say. The next thing up is on the pyramid is delivering it with the acting techniques, and then learning on top of that how to look good and how to set yourself up. So it's a formula that works all together, and that's what I have in my book.
Well, when you were previously a model, you'll always look good.
You always have, thanks. We always had to look good, and even at my age, it's like I have to look good. I have to. I'm sorry, I just have to. It's who I am.
And what's your view on doing the live stuff? Because like I see, we've done some YouTube live and connected to the different channels, and sometimes we get 600 shares.
Really? So what do you think's happening?
I
Can you
think
tell the
people
difference
know
between
the
them?
intent. I'm getting feedback here. I don't know you getting. I'm here myself.
Yeah, it started. Now it's gone.
So I think what it is that people know that you're authentic. You can't take two when it's live. I mean, I put up this video. They don't know, did we do 50 takes, or was it just as it is?
Yeah, there is feedback, but we're only doing one take. And oh, you know what? It's the difference between doing theater work and doing camera work. Now, I started as a camera actress, and then I started doing theater, and it was a shift. It's a shift, because then you have to just say, remember when I said, when I'm walking into an audition, I have to say whatever, I can't care, and I use a few 4-letter words and say whatever, and I don't care. It's that's what's happening on live, and it does bring a authenticity, because you can't stop. You have to push on. And you know what that does? I believe, this is my opinion, but I believe that makes us really tap into, like, okay, like when I was on my very, very first commercial, I was in the throes of it. I had people around looking like, what happened? And so the pressure was there. And I don't mean pressure, I got to be perfect. I just have to cheat. I have to speak. That's all I have to do. All I have to do is put pressure on myself to speak. And I think the live pressure. So what happened to me was I dug down inside and I got to a new, I don't want to say vulnerability, but a new vulnerable place where I had to dig deep inside and find a new part of myself. And I think that's what happens on the lives, that you find a new part of yourself. But here's another tip. If you can take that, what you learn from that, and take it into your recording, that's going to help you. That's going to help you. I don't want you to practice wrong. But when you do lives like that, I find that less preparation means more authenticity, for sure.
Totally agree with you. Listen, it's been wonderful talking to you. You've shared a lot of amazing tips, and I encourage people to get your book, because I know what you've said is very important. Plus, people are afraid to try to, monetize from it, and overcoming that fear is very valuable. So, how can people get in contact with you?
Okay, well, thank you for talking about my book. That's nice of you. There's 2 ways they can get hold of me. One is SuzanneGlover.com, SUZANNE Glover, GLOVER.com. SuzanneGlover.com is my website, and you can get my book there. But Roy, what I wanted to do special for your audience was give them a little time of myself on the phone for free. So what I've done is a little URL for them special, which is for a diagnostic call. No obligation, nothing, no pressure. Just get on the phone and talk to me. And it's SuzanneGlover.com/Roy, ROY. And they can, on my website, SuzanneGlover.com, there is a strategy call that I charge. I think it's only a couple $100 right now. I usually charge a lot more. But I wanted to give your audience a special deal, which is the SuzanneGlover.com/ROY Roy, where they'll go into an application and then get to my calendar, and we'll just talk on the phone, and I can help them diagnose where they are and where they want to go with video.
Excellent. Yeah, appreciate that. That's fantastic. And I'll put all the links in the description so that people can be able to find you, whether on video or audio.
That's right. That's right. And they can get my book. It's on my homepage, but like I said, that special is just for your audience.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this with you today.
Yeah, I loved it as well. Really enjoyable.
Thank you, Roy.
So that's all for the Speaking Podcast. You can find all our episodes on speakingpodcast.com, or on BitChute, or on YouTube. And be sure to give us a 5-star rating, thumbs up. Until next week, take care.